Hello, my name's Kerry and welcome back to the Unsolved podcast. As always, before we get going with this week's episode, I'm here to remind you that this is a true crime podcast and not suitable for all audiences. This podcast is aimed at adult audiences only and listener discretion is advised. In January 2006, a 24-year-old woman walked out of her condo in Orlando, Florida, and vanished without a trace. Her name was Joyce Kesse. She had just returned from a vacation, her life seemingly on track, a stable career, a new home, a routine she followed every single day. But on the morning of January 24th, that routine broke. Jennifer never made it to work, and within hours, her family knew something was very, very wrong. Days later, her car was found abandoned just a mile away, and then came the clue that would haunt this case for 2 decades. Grainy surveillance footage showing a single figure parking her vehicle and walking away, their face obscured, their identity unknown, a person of interest who, to this day, has never been identified. No signs of forced entry, no clear suspects, no answers. For years, the case stalled, buried in thousands of pages of reports, dead ends, and missed opportunities. But Jennifer's parents never stopped searching, not for a day. Now, 20 years later, something has changed. In recent months, her family has turned to new technology, including artificial intelligence, to re-examine the evidence. Thousands of pages of case files are being analysed. Old surveillance footage is being enhanced. Even the smallest details, like the shape of a suspect's ear, are being re-evaluated with tools that didn't exist back in 2006. For the first time in years, there's a sense that this case might finally move forward. That the answer has been there all along, just waiting for the right technology to uncover it. So on this week's episode of the Unsolved podcast, we're diving into the disappearance of Joyce Kesse, a case defined by silence, frustration, and one haunting question. How does someone simply disappear? And after all this time, could the truth finally be within reach? Joyce Kesse was described as being beautiful and smart, having graduated from Gaither High School in Tampa, Florida, with a very high GPA in 1999, and then going on to graduate with a bachelor's degree in finance from UCF, the University of Central Florida, in 2003. Although originally born in New Jersey on the 20th of May 1981, her parents, Drew and Joyce, moved to Tampa, Florida when she was a child. She had a younger brother, Logan, who was 3 years younger than her. Due to the closeness in her and Logan's age, they had a strong bond, and whilst attending the same university, they developed friendships within a similar circle. One of these friends, Jennifer had dated for a while. By 2006, life seemed to be going well for 24-year-old Jennifer. She had a boyfriend who she had recently taken a holiday with. Her and Rob Allen had met online, and although he lived in Fort Lauderdale, around 3 hours from her in Orlando, they managed to make their long-distance relationship work. Jen had a job as a finance manager at Westgate Resort, where she had been promoted twice in the last year, and she had also just bought her first property in Orlando. Jen had bought a condo in the Mosaic at Millennia. The condo complex was brand new. In fact, parts of it were still being built, but Jen liked it due to feeling safe, as it was a gated complex and had a security guard. There was one element of it that she didn't like though, and that was the construction workers who were building the rest of the complex. Jen had told friends that the workers would stop and watch her when she would return to the condo. and she had taken to the habit of calling a friend, family member, or Rob when getting out of the car and walking to her apartment, in hopes it would stop the workers from watching her. While spending the weekend away with her boyfriend in the British Virgin Isles, Logan and some friends had stayed at her condo, including the ex-boyfriend. When Jen returned, her brother informed her that one of her friends had left her mobile phone, and she agreed to send it back to them when she got home. Jen and Rob returned from their vacation on Sunday the 22nd of January 2006, and Jen spent the night with Rob instead of returning to her condo. On Monday the 23rd of January, Jen woke early in the morning to make the 3-hour car journey back to work at Westgate. Monday went by like any other workday, the colleagues saying that Jen appeared herself. When she left for work at around 6 p.m, Jen called her father, where they had their usual catch-up phone call, asking about each other's day and how work had been. The conversation wasn't long, but typical for the pair of them. But little did Drew know that this would be the last time he would ever speak to his daughter. At 9:57 p.m. that night, Jen and Rob spoke on the phone briefly. Both still tired from their trip away, the call didn't last long, although Rob did later tell investigators that the couple had an intense, short phone call, with Jen wanting reassurance from Rob that their relationship was moving forward and for the long run. The call ended abruptly at 10 p.m. Jen had gotten into the habit of texting or calling Rob in the morning before work, and when this didn't happen on the 24th of January, Rob tried to call Jen instead, but her phone went straight to voicemail. By mid-morning on the same day, her boss noticed that Jen had not turned up for work that day, nor had she called in to say that she was sick. Knowing that Jen wasn't the type of person to just not show up to work, her boss called her dad. Drew tried to call Jennifer, and again, the phone went to voicemail. Like her boss, Drew felt something wasn't right, so he and Joyce jumped into the car to make the 2-hour trip to Orlando in hopes that Jen would just be at home unwell. So whilst on that journey, Drew called the building manager of Jen's condo and gave permission for them to enter to see if Jen was there. When the building manager entered, they found an empty apartment. Jen wasn't there, but nothing seemed overly odd. The apartment was tidy, her purse, iPod and phone weren't there, and it seemed like she had gotten up and started getting ready for work, as there was a wet towel on the bathroom floor and clothes laid out on the bed. It seemed like her normal routine, that she had laid some clothes out to decide what to wear and had showered, put her makeup on and got ready to leave for work, especially as her black 2004 Chevy Malibu car was also missing. With the building manager reporting back to Drew and Joyce that Jen was not in the condo and her car was gone, the Kesses decided to call Orlando Police Department to report her missing. The police offered that perhaps Jen had left of her own accord, but the Kesses just felt this wasn't what had happened. They knew their daughter. She had no reason to run away. The Kesses, knowing that Jen had not run away, and with police not initially offering her much help, they printed posters of Jen and called everyone she knew to see if they had heard from her. By the evening of the 24th, Jen still had not been located, and the Orlando Police Department then started to help. They released Jen's details and pictures of her. White female, age 24, 5'7" tall, around 130 pounds, that's 10 stone 8 pounds for my UK-based listeners, with blonde hair and green eyes. They also gave details about her missing car and shared this picture too with the public. As with all missing people, particularly females, police looked at those closest to her. Rob knew that he would be the prime suspect and fully cooperated with the police. Her family too, and all were ruled out as suspects quite quickly. Police started to develop an initial timeline of Jen's disappearance. I say initial, as more of this timeline will develop as we go on. And although they can't be sure of it, due to not knowing truly when Jen may have disappeared, it is easy to assume that this is mostly accurate based on how her condo was left. Monday, 23rd of January 2006. 6 p.m, Jen speaks to her father on the way home from work, and she arrives back to her condo for the first time since returning from her vacation. 9:57 to 10 p.m, she speaks with Rob briefly, saying their goodnights and having that intense but short call about their relationship. Tuesday, 24th of January 2006, 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. This is when investigators believe that Jen is most likely abducted, and they now believe that she was abducted as she walked from her condo to her car heading for work, hence why the condo does not show signs of forced entry or a struggle having taken place. 8 a.m. to 9 a.m, Rob tries to call Jen when she fails to ring him, but the call goes directly to voicemail. To start with, Rob remembers that Jen had mentioned a meeting that she was attending for work and assumes this is why she doesn't answer, but subsequent phone calls after fail to go through. 11 a.m, due to Jen's uncharacteristic no-show at work, her alarmed boss calls her parents to inform them. They begin the journey from Tampa to Orlando. Whilst on this journey, they speak to the condo manager and call Rob to inform him. 3 p.m. to 3:15 p.m, the Kesses, including Logan, arrive at her condo. They call the police, who don't act on their concerns, saying she may have left of her own free will. 5 p.m. to 7 p.m, family and friends start to share posters of Jen with locals, and the police send a detective to talk to the family and start initial inquiries. Another person they looked into was the ex-boyfriend within the shared friendship group of Jen and Logan, who had also stayed at her condo when she was away. Interestingly, he was seen at a bar opposite the condo on the night of the 23rd of January, and like Jen, didn't turn up for work the following day. Police felt this was a strong lead to begin with, but later ruled him out, for reasons we don't know. It was Thursday the 26th of January that the first major breakthrough came, when, having seen the police issued pictures of Jennifer's car, a tenant of a nearby apartment complex called in to say that the car had been parked abandoned there for the past 2 days. Police headed straight over, where they confirmed it was Jen's Chevy Malibu, but Jen herself wasn't in the car, and neither were any of her items, such as the bag, keys, phone, or iPod. The same items determined not to be left in the condo. Pictures were taken of the car and it was taken for forensic testing. The car had been abandoned just a mile away from Jen's condo. Investigators soon learned that the apartment complex had hidden surveillance cameras, and these were reviewed. The first camera looked out over the parking lot, and police determined that Jen's car was parked here at around 1 p.m, on the 24th of January. Another moment to add to our timeline. The person in the car parked it in a visitor spot, pausing briefly for around 30 seconds once parked, before exiting the car. Another camera was reviewed, and unbelievably, it caught an image of the person leaving Jen's car. Unfortunately, the camera didn't record continuously, instead capturing a still shot every 3 seconds. In the video, the person is walking alongside a black fence, and in a cruel twist of fate, every time the camera took the still shot, the person's face was hidden behind the wrought iron fence. Being 2006, the image also wasn't the best of quality, and to start with, it was hard to establish the person's gender, let alone who they were. For those watching on YouTube or when the video is released to Spotify, I am playing the 2 footages on a loop for you to review. Although the footage wasn't helping in identifying the person who parked the car at least, it did help secure the timeline for police, who had already suspected that Jen had gotten up to get ready for work that morning and potentially been abducted when heading to her car. And this kind of confirms their suspicions. It also begs the question, if Jen was abducted between 7:30 and 8 a.m, and the person abandoned her car at 1 p.m, what happened in between that time? Where did they take Jen? And what did they do with her? Following finding the car, investigators brought in sniffer dogs to see if they could determine a scent of either Jen or the person who left the car. The dogs did pick up on a scent, and it followed back to the car park of Jen's condo. This led police to believe the person had walked back there, possibly to get their own car. Investigators said that not much was found in the car, other than a small DNA fibre and a latent print. They also said there was no further signs of a struggle. However, Drew thinks there is. On the bonnet of the car, which is covered in dust, there appears to be an outline of what looks like a body, and then fingers trailing down the bonnet. Could this suggest that someone pushed Jen onto the bonnet before dragging her into the car? Again, I have added a photo to the video, but will also add this to my Instagram on the day of release, so do go and have a look yourselves and decide whether you agree. Despite having the surveillance and finding the car, the search for where Jen had gone continued. Police were unable to ping her mobile phone as this had remained off, and her bank account had not been accessed. It still hasn't to this day. Police now turned their attention to Jen's place of work, securing her work computer, and spoke with her colleagues. On her work computer, they found that one of the managers had been pursuing a relationship with Jen, and that she had turned him down as she did not want a relationship with someone she worked with. He was questioned with regards to her disappearance, but soon ruled out. The construction workers that Jen had complained to family and friends about were also spoken with. However, most of them didn't speak English, which caused a barrier in questioning, and this line of inquiry was soon dropped. For a time, Drew, Joyce and Rob moved into Jennifer's condo so that they could be close by to Orlando should there be any updates. Rob returned after 6 weeks, but the Kesses stayed for months before having to return to their home back in Tampa. The Kesses posted appeals and featured in news reports, begging anyone with information to come forward, and yet nothing ever did. At the time of finding the CCTV, investigators didn't release it to the public. Instead, other agencies such as the FBI and NASA looked over it, trying to find ways to clear the image and determine who it was. The only information they were able to establish was that the person stood at around 5'3" to 5'5" tall, and they still couldn't be sure on the person's gender. There's minimal reports of witnesses having seen anything, or even seeing the person leaving the complex the car was left at, but according to some reports, not all, there was a witness who says that they saw Jen's car leaving her condo area and driving along the road erratically, looking like two people were fighting over the steering wheel. I add this point in, as one news report states it, but it doesn't seem to be confirmed or mentioned much in the research that I have done for Jen's case. In 2007, the police finally released the still images caught on the camera to the public, calling for anyone who may have seen this person in the area at the time to come forward, or better yet, to see if anyone recognised them. Another significance in May 2007 happened when the company that Jen worked for announced a $1 million reward for information leading to her whereabouts. However, it came with stipulations. They had a deadline of the 4th of July, Independence Day in America, and Jen had to be alive for them to get the reward. Despite this huge amount being offered, nothing came through to help. In June 2010, Jen's case was handed over from Orlando Police Department to the FBI. Drew and Joyce have continued to fight for as much information to be out there about Jen's disappearance as possible. This includes having a Senate bill passed in the Florida House of Representatives in May 2008. The bill is called the Jennifer Kesse and Tiffany Sessions Missing Person Act. For reference, Tiffany Sessions was 21 when she went missing on the 9th of February 1989. Known to her friends and family as Tiffy, she was attending the University of Florida and majoring in business. On the afternoon of the 9th of February, Tiffy told her roommate that she was going for a power walk. She left most of her personal items in the apartment, such as her purse, ID and keys, but had taken a black Sony Walkman. When she hadn't returned 5 hours later, Her roommate called her mother and reported Tiffy as missing. Police initially didn't act on the report, stating that there was no crime scene to investigate, and they didn't believe Tiffy had even left the parking lot of her apartment complex, despite witnesses saying they had seen someone of Tiffy's description talking to someone in a car. Tiffy, like Jen, has never been found, but the search that followed by police was the largest in Florida's history. Yet despite her body never being found, it is suspected that she was murdered. There were even potential suspects, one being Michael Knickerbocker, who, while serving 5 life sentences in prison, confessed to her murder and given an area that he had dumped her body. But with it confirmed that Knickerbocker wasn't living in the area at the time, the claim was dismissed. However, police do believe they know who killed her, serial killer Paul Rouse, who is now deceased. He had been working as construction worker near the path that Tiffy was last seen on and failed to turn up to work the day after her disappearance. However, it wasn't just these key pieces of information that led to the belief that Rouse was responsible. Rouse had kept an address book with information of the women that he had murdered in. This was found by investigators 1 month after he died, in 2013. He had jotted down his first victim's name, Linda Fider, as well as another potential victim of his. Along with this was a notation, hashtag 2/9/89 hashtag 2. It is believed that this refers to Tiffy being his second victim and the date in which she disappeared. The Jennifer Kesse and Tiffany Sessions Missing Person Act of 2008 was passed to reform missing persons investigations. The Act mandates that law enforcement create strict, standardized procedure for handling cases, specifically focusing on missing young adults and improving data handling to prevent long-term unsolved cases. The Act aims to avoid the issues faced by Jen and Tiff's family by ensuring the first 48 to 72 hours of the case are handled efficiently. The families of both Jen and Tiffy knew that this bill wasn't going to help them with their missing daughters, but it gave them a sense of security knowing that police would need to act quicker in the future for any more missing people, particularly young adults. In 2016, Florida Police Department officially ruled Jen as being deceased. The Kesses, by this point, felt that the police had failed them in all aspects of the investigation, and so in 2018 filed a lawsuit against Orlando Police Department in order to gain access to Jen's case records. The lawsuit was settled in May 2019, and the family now have access to 16,000 pages of records and over 60 hours of recordings around Jen's disappearance. It was on gaining these records that Drew realised the lead investigator had not written a single note on Jen's case, which was still considered as being open in 7 years. Further update came in December 2022, when Jen's case was handed over to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, known as the FDLE, Cold Case Unit. They agreed to re-interview people who had already been spoken to and retest some of the DNA found within the car. This helped them to rule out some of those on the suspect list. However, when they went back to look at Jen's car to see if any further evidence could be taken, they learned that the car was no longer available. What this means, we aren't entirely sure, but it sounds like the car was not being kept in evidence and instead had been destroyed. Although Jen's case had fallen cold, it had never been closed, and therefore all items surrounding the case should have been kept in evidence for further testing. This was hugely frustrating to the FDLE and the Kesses, who had hoped that further evidence would come to light and help to find their daughter. Before we go any further, I want to cover a point here, what I think is a clear point in Jen's case. Because despite the new law coming into Florida regarding investigating missing people, in comparison to some of the other cases we've covered, initially it seemed like Orlando police acted quite quickly to Jen's reported disappearance. Now, I'm not a detective, but there is a point I think screams out at us. It feels very much like the person who abducted Jen must have known her routine, where she'd be, and at what time. The condo parking lot was clearly quiet at the suspected time of abduction, and it feels like the person who carried this out must have known this. I'm not saying that Jen may have known them, but it very much feels like, at the very least, it was someone who had been watching her moves. We know that Jen felt uncomfortable around the construction workers at the condo complex. She had told multiple friends and families of this, and OPD did look into this, but as I mentioned, due to language barrier, they didn't push the questioning too hard. Well, why not get interpreters? Why not try to get a recce as to whether any of them failed to turn up to work on the day of the 24th? I'm going by the information that is out there on this case, so it could well be that this was done, but if that is the case, why not rule them out? Why not confirm that the workers, despite appearing sleazy, were ruled out of the case? The Kesses believe that Jen became a victim of human trafficking and that she is still alive out there somewhere. As of 2022, Jen is still considered as missing and endangered by Orlando Police Department, the FBI, Orange County Sheriff's Office, the FDLE, the NCIC, the NCMA, and Interpol. She is also in the FBI's most wanted/missing list. But recently, there has been a development on Jen's case, which has turned it from being cold to hopefully a little bit warm. Because in January 2026, Fox 35 Orlando News, along with many others, reported this.
It has been 20 years since Jennifer Kesse vanished in Orlando. But this case isn't cold. Investigators say it's actually heating up. New DNA evidence, new technology, and renewed focus are giving her family something they haven't had in a long time: hope.
Investigators still think the grainy surveillance video could be the key to this case. But as Fox 35's Garrett Weimer explains, the focus is no longer on the person's face.
January 23rd, 2006. The last time anyone saw or heard from Jennifer Kesse. The 24-year-old went about her day like normal. But the next day was anything but.
I think everything in life changed. Everything.
The following morning, Jennifer left her Orlando condo for work and never arrived. The 24-year-old disappeared without a trace, setting off one of Central Florida's most haunting mysteries.
The luckiest person, luckiest criminal alive to have footage parking her car, backing out, parking it meticulously, wiping the car down, 32 seconds, and he walks away.
Today, 20 years later, Jennifer Kesse's case remains open, and her family says they're still hoping someone, somewhere, will finally come forward.
We're with incredible special agents right now. They're incredible. They're doing
what should have been done.
Stuff we don't even think of. So, so we're in a good place.
With new eyes on the case and new technology too, the Kesses are hoping for new answers. FDLE has taken over the case and says it's no longer cold. Thanks to new DNA evidence, they have new persons of interest. And they could have more. They're using AI to zoom into this piece of video. A surveillance clip showing a potential suspect walking along a fence after parking her car. But the person's face is covered by every gatepost. The person's ear, though, could be the key now.
That everything was truly done. That's possible to be done, even in today's advanced world. Like we're using AI right now. They are using AI right now. We're hoping that's the breakthrough, to be quite honest with you, both in film as well as just the volume of information that it could take in and spit out.
And it has been being used to solve crimes for quite some time.
We're just on the cusp of what that will be used for.
The goal is to match the ear with every publicly available photo database.
There was a point that years had gone by, and it just seems, leads come in. I just had a lead come into me yesterday, a very serious lead came into me yesterday. They still keep coming. They never stopped, and we thank everyone. One of these days it's going to be real.
Garrett Weimer, Fox 35 News.
This is really interesting. Over the many years of advancements in DNA technology, using systems to reconstruct faces of John and Jane Does, we are now stepping into a world where AI can be used to help solve crimes. AI has become this power force over the past years. Whether you use it to cross-reference an essay for plagiarism, to make a caricature cartoon of yourself, or to formulate transcript from the Teams meeting into a full roundup of minutes, it is a force to be reckoned with. You hear Drew in that clip say that it's been used for years and advancing in what it can do. And this fills the Kesses with hope that one day they will find their daughter. During their lawsuit with OPD, the Kesses set up a GoFundMe page to help cover the cost of legal fees, which amassed to $18,000. Following the lawsuit, they decided to keep the GoFundMe open, with donations now being used to pay for private detectives or further testing/technology in the case. As of the date I'm recording this podcast, Friday the 27th of March 2026, the GoFundMe stands at an amazing $140,281, with the goal being to reach $200,000. On the GoFundMe and the Facebook page, Drew keeps regular updates and writes messages to Jen. On the 24th of January this year, to mark the 20th anniversary of Jen's disappearance, Drew wrote this letter, which starts with a quote from Leon Russell's. "I love you in a place where there's no space of time. To Jennifer, this day marks 20 years since we last saw and spoke with you. We love you unconditionally and miss you in immeasurable ways. Your voice, your smiles, your hugs, and your laugh. Your presence, though distant now, will never be forgotten. The love we shared is unbreakable, never ending, and grows stronger every day. We feel you with us because you are a part of us. You are loved and missed by so many. We will never stop looking for you until you are found and brought home to where you belong. There are just no words left to say. It's all been said and written, and words can't do justice to the feeling of emptiness we have had for 20 years." He then adds in another quote from Tiffany DeBartolo. "And no matter what anybody says about grief and about time healing all wounds, the truth is, there are certain sorrows that never fade away until the heart stops beating and the last breath is taken." The letter then continues on. "To Jennifer's friends, we're sure she is so proud of you. None of you have shied away, taken a step back, or forgotten about Jennifer. No, quite the opposite. She picked and made amazing friends in you all. We love you for who you are and have become, and Jennifer's watching and smiling, I'm sure. You have become family to us. Thank you. To our personal, legal and investigative team, you have in so many ways gotten us to this point, and we can't thank you enough. You knew our legal rights and utilised them to the fullest to win access to Jennifer's case files from Orlando Police Department. Huge and never done before with an open, active case. Thank you for believing in us in our time of need. To our investigative team, who worked as a group to filter out the fluff in the case files and come up with actionable evidence and facts, which enabled FDLE to take over the case. We thank you for your work, dedication, and vast experience to move our case forward. To FDLE and other agencies working on Jennifer's case, we support you 100% in your efforts to bring our daughter home. We have the confidence that you can do the job that has shown itself to be the toughest of all. The strides you have made give this family great hope that we will bring Jennifer home and you will be the ones to do it. We thank you for all your dedication and expertise. We promise you, Jennifer is worth the effort you are putting forth. To the public, you have been there for 20 years with us. You've never given up, and to this day, you stand with this family. We can't thank you enough, and we ask for your continued help, support, and prayers. You helped solve so many cases. You are an important piece of the puzzle. Drew, Joyce, Logan, and Katie Kesse. It finishes with another quote by an unknown author that says, "To her own reflection she said, I will be strong." I will add the link to the GoFundMe page to the show notes, and if you are able to help in even the smallest amount, then please do so. As with all my cases covered, I will keep a close eye on any updates that are to come, and will of course let you know of any development in Jen's case. Thank you as always for listening to the Unsolved podcast. As you may have heard me mention through that episode, I have now set up my YouTube channel. So if you would like to go and watch these episodes where you'll get to see pictures of the victims, the videos that play the audio through the podcast, you can do that. And you can find me at the Unsolved Podcast UK. Do go over and hit that subscribe button. In the near future, I will be bringing these videos to Spotify too. We are not far away from the distribution platform that I use, allowing us to upload the videos and distributing it to the podcast platforms that will allow video in the future. So that's really, really exciting. If there are any cases that you would like me to cover, please remember that you can email me at sslpod.kd@gmail.com. I have got some really exciting cases coming up for you. As always, I would absolutely love it if you could go and follow me on my other social media platforms, at Instagram at the.unsolvedpodcast and on TikTok at KerryJ02. Thank you again for listening. I have seen an increase of numbers in my analytics, so to all my new listeners, welcome aboard. I do hope you are enjoying the Unsolved podcast. Don't be a stranger. Please reach out to me. If there's anything that you want me to cover, any questions, keep them coming. And to my oldies, obviously I mean those who have been listening from the beginning, not referring to age, thank you for coming back week after week to listen. I truly appreciate it. If you are able to help with the production of this podcast, you can do so through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes. For those watching the video, the QR code will be coming up too. Thank you again, and until next week, goodbye.